As many of us already know, Doctor Who is a British science fiction television series produced by the BBC that has survived for over 56 years and has remained a staple of the science fiction genre since its original air date on November 23rd, 1963. But how has it survived as a series for so many years? In this video essay, I will analyse how its longevity came to be and open room for discussion about the topic at the end. And without further ado, let's begin. To begin, we have to go back to when the show was first produced. It was 1963 and William Hartnell was the first actor to be cast as the titular Time Lord himself. Originally the show was pitched as a children's educational series basing itself on historical stories and events. This was later modified, however, and changed into a science fiction series, while still maintaining some of the historical aspects. The most notable episode that both popularized the show and made it a staple in the science fiction television genre was the serial called The Daleks. It introduced arguably the most popular monster in the entirety of the show's history, if not the most popular monster in television history. It became iconic and still is to this day. By introducing a memorable monster to the mix, Doctor Who sent the message that it was full of the unexpected. The Daleks, along with their signature catchphrase, had made it into the world with immense popularity, and vitalized the show for years to come. Along the years, one constant problem kept cropping up. William Hartnell's health was deteriorating, and he eventually couldn't be fit to play the role. As a result, the option to scrap the show was established, not before the brilliant idea of regeneration came up. Then workers on the show, Innes Lloyd and Gary Davis, thought about how the Doctor was an alien, and that he could have the innate ability to change his face. This was the key to keeping Doctor Who alive forever. Without this, the show would have ended right there in 1966. After discussions about the idea came to a close, William Hartnell's first Doctor was succeeded by Patrick Troughton after a confrontation with the Cybermen, another popular monster in the Doctor Who universe. The concept of regeneration granted new life to the show, and ensured that in the years to come, the audiences would never stray away from the unique character of the Doctor. Once the third Doctor came to our screens, it was widely known that this would be a continued staple of the show, one that contrasted from the unexplained recastings of James Bond, for example, or other fictional characters. Doctor Who's history was in safe hands. Also, they thought. The show had managed to survive for over 2 decades, when excessive budget cuts and lackluster viewing figures along the late 1980s led to the eventual cancellation of the show, after 26 seasons and 7 Doctors at the helm. The final story was aired in 1989. This began what is commonly known as the Wilderness Years, the years in which Doctor Who was no longer seen on TV. This didn't mean the complete death of the show, however, as Big Finish Audio Adventures as well as expanded universe media was created to satisfy the fans at the time. Meanwhile, in 1996, a Doctor Who TV movie was released as a partnership with American TV company Fox in an attempt to reboot the show and begin production of a new series. The movie cast Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor, where Sylvester McCoy's 7th Doctor also made an appearance for his regeneration scene. Unfortunately, the movie was not popular enough in the States, and a full series was never made. Thus, the Wilderness Years continued, until 2003. When a man by the name of Russell T Davies persuaded the BBC to produce a new series of Doctor Who, with him as showrunner. After many attempts, the BBC eventually accepted, and a new series was in production, with Christopher Eccleston eventually being cast as the 9th Doctor, continuing the long-running story of Doctor Who. This new run of the show would begin in 2005 with Series 1, and is the version of the show we know today. This version of the show, commonly known as New Who, had the objective of adapting Doctor Who to modern audiences with a new Doctor, TARDIS, companion, higher production value and CGI. Although some stories and details haven't aged well for today's standards, the show garnered over 10 million live viewers and was back on track for being one of the standouts in British television after a second series was greenlighted. This series also reintroduced the Daleks, who had been mocked over the years as cheap robots with a funny catchphrase ever since the Wilderness years began. The primary objective of these Daleks was to re-establish the fear factor in the show and present the Daleks as the most dangerous beings in the universe. This was all showcased in the episode aptly named Dalek, where the Doctor and Rose, his companion, get stuck in an underground base with the last surviving Dalek. What followed was one of the most finely crafted episodes of the monster to date, and placed the Daleks in the forefront of the show. One monumental event that is introduced in this series is the last Great Time War, in which the Doctor's race, the Time Lords, fought the Daleks, with both sides losing at the hands of the Doctor. This produced a stark change in the Doctor's personality compared to his classic portrayals. He had suffered severe PTSD from the event, and his reaction to finding out that one Dalek survived perfectly demonstrates his hatred towards them, and how by losing his entire species, the lengths he would go to prevent it from ever happening again. As this backstory developed and the overarching story of Series 1 came to a close, Christopher Eccleston left the show to be replaced with David Tennant's 10th Doctor, who is currently the most popular Doctor of all time. This showed the idea of regeneration to new audiences and additionally proved how this version of Doctor Who was following the classic run of the show. The idea that the 9th Doctor would regenerate with Rose by his side helped the audience feel comfortable with an already established and developed character whilst exploring a whole new identity and personality of the Doctor in The Christmas Invasion, the first full episode of the 10th Doctor, and the first Christmas special in New Who, a trend that would continue every year until 2017. David Tennant expressed an energetic character and brought a fresh and unique take on the Time Lord. His incarnation was undoubtedly the most human, settling in with Rose's family and going on adventures with them. Series 2 reintroduced the Cybermen in a new light, with them being converted humans from Earth rather than another planet. This was a vital part in keeping the monster's popularity alive, as by situating them on our home planet, we, as the audience, can certainly feel the deep emotional trauma felt by the individual characters after seeing their emotions removed, and how impactful their losses are. This showcased how far humanity can go to improve themselves. By the end of Series 2, it was announced that Rose would be leaving, and her departure closed off Series 2 in an extremely impactful way, leaving viewers impatient for the show's return the following year. After the Christmas special aired, Series 3 was around the corner, introducing Martha Jones as the Doctor's new companion. This series brought masterpieces such as the two-part story Human Nature and the Family of Blood, which delved into the Doctor's conflicting personalities and showed his human side more than ever. Another compelling story was Blink, arguably one of the most popular episodes of this era, which introduced the Weeping Angels, an extremely unique monster in the Doctor Who universe. This all ultimately led to the three-part story, Utopia, The Sound of Drums, and Last of the Time Lords, where the Doctor is brought to his lowest point yet, and details about the Time War are revealed, including a secret he did not know until that point. The end of Series 3 also marked the departure of Martha Jones, and the beginning of the final series run by Russell T Davies, Series 4. This series brought the arc of the 10th Doctor to a close, and elaborated on everything more than ever by ending it off with a record streak of multiple near-perfect stories leading up to the highly anticipated ending of Series 4. By doing this, the audience was always eager to see what was coming the following week. Past the Series 4 finale, there were a handful of special hour-long episodes leading up to the 2009 Christmas special, which was said to be the first part of the 10th Doctor's final story. Viewing figures reached its peak in the 2010 New Year's special, The End of Time Part 2, where David Tennant finally left the show and passed the role on to Matt Smith. Most of the production team was replaced, and Stephen Moffat became showrunner of Doctor Who, bringing a completely new take on the show's format and style. Series 5 was Matt Smith's first, and he brought a young, playful but dark side to the Doctor, as was showcased in the fantastic opening episode, The 11th Hour, introducing the 11th Doctor, a new TARDIS, and a new companion, amongst other aspects of the show. This gave the show a new coat of paint, adapting it to the audience, and continues to hold up extremely well today. Furthermore, Series 5 was unquestionably the most impactful series internationally, as it brought in American viewers and became a popular show in the States. Series 6 followed suit, being a completely plot-driven series with an overarching story surrounding almost every episode in the series, establishing a problem in the first story, with it ultimately being resolved in the finale. Series 6 was met with mixed reviews, with some stating that the plot was too complicated, with others praising Steven Moffat for bringing something new to the show. Series 7 led up to the 50th anniversary of the show in 2013, and was not generally enjoyed by the majority of Doctor Who fans. The episodes were getting stale and lacked personality, until the series finale brought a major reveal that led to the 50th anniversary special, which was received with critical acclaim, with critics stating that the show had come back and revitalized it for another 50 years to come, by delving into the backstory of the Doctor and how he had come to kill both the Daleks and the Time Lords to end the Time War. By the time the 2013 Christmas special came, it was time for Matt Smith to leave the role and to pass the torch to Peter Capaldi, a lifelong fan of the show. In Series 8, he was established as the 12th Doctor in his first full episode, Deep Breath, where his companion, Clara, has to come to terms with his new face. Their friendship develops in Series 8 as the Doctor seems more alien than ever before, and Clara has to balance normal life with travelling with the Doctor. Bringing a new Doctor into the mix played a vital part to keeping the show alive, and established new and unique stories such as Mummy on the Orient Express and Flatline, both of which introduce one-time monsters and a compelling individual story to accompany the series arc. Series 9 built up on this, and was mostly made up of two-part stories, so as to dedicate additional time for story and character building. Peter Capaldi delivers his best performance as shown in Heaven Sent, where he expresses an extraordinary monologue along the entire episode, and ultimately solidifies him as one of the best actors to play the Doctor. Series 10 brought along with it a soft reboot of sorts, to pose as a jumping on point for new viewers. This series was also Capaldi's last, and also the final series run by Steven Moffat. With it came new companions and thought-provoking stories with a spectacular work of science fiction in the series finale, with a twist nobody could have seen coming. As Peter Capaldi's time came to a close, it was revealed that Jodie Whittaker would take on the role of the first female to play the Doctor, and the 12th Doctor regenerated into the 13th Doctor at the end of 2017, bringing the end of Steven Moffat and Capaldi's eras, and the start of a brand new one. Chris Chibnall was appointed showrunner of Doctor Who with his debut series, Series 11. It was a very particular series, as Chibnall had decided not to bring back any previous monsters in the series, and created Series 11 with the intention of recruiting new viewers to the show. This was the most controversial series of New Who to date, as apart from the Doctor and the TARDIS, there was almost no mention of previous Doctor Who lore. In 2019, apart from the New Year's special that featured the Daleks, Doctor Who was not present on TV, as they were at work on Series 12 of the show. Series 12 premiered on January 1st, 2020, with its first story, and ended on the 1st of March of the same year, lasting exactly 2 months. This series developed from what was established in the previous series, and explored the deeper lore of Doctor Who. It was a return to form for the show. As of now, production on Series 13 is just beginning, and ratings suggest that the viewing figures improved from the start of Series 11 and continue to be constant to this day, if you take into account the current number of people watching live television nowadays. After analysing the complete history of the show, it's safe to say that Doctor Who plays a unique role in keeping its genre alive, and it wouldn't have come far if it wasn't for the minds of the producers in 1966, or the constant renewal of format in the form of new showrunners. Without it, Doctor Who would have been forgotten forever and merely dismissed as a minor science fiction program. But there's always a chance for failure, and everything eventually comes to an end, even if the end of the show is far from where we stand. But that's a topic for another day. Thank you very much for watching.